Well, our first speaker this evening, and I hope I'm going to get your surname correct, is Anthony Eskinazi. Does that sound right? Fabulous. Who's founder of the Just Park app, and he's been billed in advance as a chess-playing, maths-loving technology geek obsessed with solving problems. And as the founder and CEO of parking app Just Park, he's on a mission to solve the parking problem, making life easier for drivers and also leading a multi-billion-pound industry into the digital age at the same time. So to tell us more, please give a very warm welcome and a round of applause to Anthony Eskinazi.
Good evening, everyone. So my journey started probably around 11 and a half years ago. I was on my gap year after university, graduated with a maths degree, and I experienced the same problem so many of you have probably had as well, where I was driving around, couldn't find somewhere to park, and I thought, wouldn't it be great if I could knock on that person's door, pay them $10 because I was in the US, and park in their driveway. And so that was where the idea was formed. It was May 2006. I was due to start a job with Deloitte & Touche, the accountancy firm. I was going to train to become a chartered accountant. So I had a job waiting for me when I got home, but I thought, I've got a few months now after the end of my gap year. Why not create something and see how it goes? So I got to work. I taught myself how to code, built the first version of what was then called Park at My House, and launched it about a month, maybe about 2 weeks before I started at Deloitte. My job at Deloitte didn't last too long. I quit after 6 weeks. My parents weren't too happy about it at the time, but it was definitely the best decision I ever made. Although the next 4 to 5 years, without any previous business experience, no idea how to raise funding, my coding experience and knowledge was pretty rubbish, to be honest. But I stuck with it. I persevered, and over a number of years, I was able to build a business into one which was at least allowed me to sort of pay rent, etc. And then I had a lucky break in 2011 when, at that point, we had maybe 30 or 40,000 customers across the UK when I got the attention of BMW. And BMW at that point were interested in investing in mobility startups and put around £250,000 into the business. And that was in 2011. And what that did was it took me from being effectively a one-man band into a company which could actually start employing people and really sort of use that BMW brand and investment to grow our market. So started employing people, and over time, the business grew, again, pretty organically, still making tons of mistakes along the way, but learning from them. In 2014, we finally rebranded to Just Park. The idea very much was, helping homeowners make money from their driveways is fun and interesting, but the parking problem is so much bigger than that. So how about solving the problem that every driver in the world experiences maybe on a daily basis? And so we rebranded to Just Park because what we fundamentally want to do is make parking easy for everyone. And to give you an idea of where we are now, actually a year later after rebranding, we did a very innovative fundraising round where we raised money from institutional VCs, venture capitalists, Index Ventures, one of the best-known technology VCs, but also did what was then a world record crowd fund. We had at that point about 500,000-600,000 customers, and so we thought, why not invite the customers who are making money from using our service to actually reinvest some of that money and actually share in our success, our joint success. And we raised a total of £3.5 million from our own customers and also retail investors. So we had institutional funds, which obviously brought us experience of people who had built and scaled businesses, but we also had what was then 2,500 evangelists who are going to be shouting from the rooftops about this great company they've invested in and talk about it over the dinner table. Just to give you an idea where we are now, we've got 1.5 million drivers using us in the UK, a staff of 41 people based up in Kentish Town, not too far from here, growing really well. And it's been a stressful but very, very exciting journey, and one which I'm hoping to continue for many more years.
Well, thank you very much, Anthony. And it's a fascinating story, actually. And I see the growth from 1 to 41 people. So how have you maintained that sort of initial culture that you set out, which was all about you and your vision, to make sure that the rest of your team share that, but also bring something different to the party and give the skills that complement you rather than just copy what you've got?
I think in a nutshell, I had to stop being a control freak. That was
it's tough, isn't it?
It's very tough. So that was the first lesson I had to learn. But after that, it was very much make sure you hire people who definitely have skills that complement you. Try and hire people who are smarter than you. People who, I can't remember who told me this, but if you hire, basically 18 players, they are also going to hire really smart people. Whereas if you don't hire great people, they're not going to hire great people as well. And you need to entrust. I've got a really solid management team who I work with, who I trust, who can run day to day. And ensuring you bring people in who you trust, who are ambitious, who are entrepreneurial, who don't need hand-holding, especially in those early days, is essential because you've all got to grow the business together. And you all have to feel like a team. And if they're not in it, one thing we do for all of our teams obviously offer stock options. So everyone does share in the success. Everyone wants us to be successful because not only do they want to be part of something special, they also will benefit financially from it.
And that's worked for you?
It's worked fantastically well.
Yeah.
Just building that culture, making sure that we've got incredible team retention. A nice perk we offer at the office is we have a chef on our payroll, cooks lunch for everyone every day. She used to be the chef at The Guardian, I think, and the food is phenomenal, but what it does is it brings the whole team together every day. People sit together, they eat together, and you build those social bonds and connections, which means that people aren't just coming to work, they're actually coming to the office and being around their friends.
And often it's the most innovative time, isn't it, when you're sitting around. I remember GlaxoSmithKline, when they decided to get rid of their canteen many years ago, and actually for tax reasons, and everyone was bringing their sandwiches and sitting at their desks, their innovation levels just dropped off, and they realised after 2 years, actually, we better bring the canteen back, pay the tax on it. Yeah. But it is so creative, important to get those social gatherings, and it's obviously worked for you. Where does intellectual property fit in? Because obviously the Business and IP Centre, the IP stands for intellectual property. It's one of those things that people tend to not often think about, but it's incredibly important. So how much emphasis have you put on that?
So protecting an idea like Park at my House or Just Park is now an impossible. Yahoo can protect Google from entering the search engine market, for example. But what you can do is obviously build a brand and protect that brand. And that was actually one of the reasons we rebranded from Park at my House to Just Park. Park at my House was very descriptive. We failed in our attempts to register that as a trademark. And also a lot of people were getting confused. They weren't calling us Park at my House, they were calling us Park in my drive or something similar. And so that was really frustrating for me. And so what we did was we rebranded to Just Park. We've trademarked it. We're very protective of how that our logo and our name is used. And obviously making sure you've got a very clear vision that you articulate externally. And so people understand that when they hear about Just Park, we always talk about us being the parking app, making parking easy. And actually, if you look in the App Store under the Just Park app, if you look at the reviews, the most common phrase used in it is easy. And so it shows that we're actually, when we are talking about our brand, it is getting out there, that is our mission. And it's not just saying it, you've got to make sure your product actually does what it says on the tin. Make sure parking is easy. And so people feel it, and that's how they remember you.
And Mum and Dad proud now?
Well, they're in the audience, so
yeah. Are they smiling? Where are they? Yeah. Where are Mum and Dad? Come on, Mum and Dad. Hello there. I hope you got them complimentary tickets.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Sorry.
Or charge them double. Well, thank you very much, Anthony, and you'll have a chance to ask Anthony a question later on as well. But great story and great to hear it as well.